That does remind me, I probably should say I'm Andy Ross, CEO of American Rebel, joined by Corey Lambert, President and Chief Operating Officer of American Rebel. We're going to do this a little different than I've ever done before. I made a 2.5-minute video which kind of tells the American Rebel story. I guess cheers and turn this thing up and start a video.
Hi, I'm Andy Ross. I turned my passion for bow hunting into a career in 2005 when I started Ross Archery and quickly became a top name in the industry. To market my bows, I filmed my hunts and distributed DVDs with each purchase, footage that caught the attention of the Outdoor Channel and led to a 10-year run of my hit TV show, Maximum Archery World Tour. To give the show a rock and roll edge, I wrote and recorded original music which went viral and caught the ear of Nashville producers. My breakout song, Cold Dead Hand, led me to a guest appearance on the History Channel's hit TV show, Counting Cars, where Danny built me the Second Amendment muscle car. With growing momentum, I leaned into music full-time, releasing patriotic, high-energy country rock albums that resonated with freedom-loving Americans. In 2015, alongside producer Doug Grau and entrepreneur Corey Lambert, I founded American Rebel, inspired by the spirit of my song titled with the same name. What began as a lifestyle brand has grown into a publicly traded company on Nasdaq, AREB, offering safes, concealed carry apparel, and now America's patriotic, God-fearing, Constitution-loving, national anthem-singing, stand your ground beer. American Rebel Light has launched to overwhelming success in Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, Connecticut, Virginia, North Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Minnesota, and we are expanding the footprint every day. Some say we're the fastest growing beer in history. We just say it tastes like freedom. American Rebel Beer is a proud sponsor of Tony Stewart Racing's Matt Hagan-driven funny car and Tony Stewart-driven Top Fuel dragster that run in NHRA events all across the country. I perform at many of the races where I raise them high and bring the party. We've also been the official beer title sponsor, which has made a tremendous impact on our new beer distributors, retail outlets, and retail customers. I am truly blessed and thankful for every chance I get to open a can of American Rebel Light with fans across this great nation. We love to celebrate patriotism, freedom, and the opportunity to chase the American dream. American Rebel.
All right. Thank you. As I said, the whole brand really started 30 years ago. I had a TV show called Maximum Archery World Tour, bow hunted the world on outdoor TV. You know, the thing about a bow hunting show, if anyone's ever done any hunting, specifically bow hunting, the key is to be, the number one key is to be real quiet. You don't get much done if you're loud in the woods. So if you have this TV show going, it's 30 minutes of you being quiet, hunting, and the last 2 minutes are pretty cool. So I had this idea. I thought, well, we've got this big fan base. We got this great show going. So I thought, well, what if we filmed the travel? So we would be in a bus. We would be going. We're hunting 7 months, out of the year, and we're all over the place, all through the United States. Obviously, we'd fly when we'd go to Alaska and Mozambique and Zimbabwe and New Zealand and Alaska. And all of a sudden, that became the show, the traveling around, getting into hunting camps and in and out of hunting camps and crossing borders. So the show became like 15 minutes of camaraderie and travel and 15 minutes of hunting. And that's when we changed it and added the world tour to the end. So I thought, I could play some music. So wouldn't it be cool if, I could write some cool hunting songs that would be like when the opener of the show, during in and out of commercials, when the credits rolled, maybe do one once in a while by the campfire. I wrote the songs. We had the show. The show, really became popular. And all of a sudden, Nashville called. I had artists and people from Nashville calling. A lot of the country artists, are hunters. So they'd call up and go, hey, we love your show. We'd love to be a guest on your show. Come hunt our land. We'd like to go hunting with you. By taking these guys hunting and putting them on TV with me, I got the opportunity to write with these hit writing, just great songwriters. Little did I know that I had a music career waiting behind the hunting show. I had a song out in 2015 off my Time to Fight record called American Rebel. Went viral as a patriotic anthem, landed me on Counting Cars, where Danny built me the Second Amendment muscle car. And so I had this great patriotic rock and roll song and, some history and a fan base from the show. I had the opportunity to meet Corey Lambert. Now, we're going back to 2015. Yep. A friend of ours put us together. I was coming out of an elk hunt in New Mexico. I'm not sure where I was going, but I went through Arizona, and I met Corey. And Corey, I'm going to let him in a minute give you some of his background, so I'm not going to take all that away. But Corey has a lot of public DNA, a lot of history in the public world, raising money and success. He was asking me about the music and how the hunting was going, and I said, you know, I've got the rough video to American Rebel. I've got the rough cut on my laptop. I'll play it for you. And I played it for him, and he stood up right there on the spot and pounded the table with 2 fingers. He didn't even use his fist. I don't know how anyone does it. Pounds the table. He goes, Andy, that's a brand. He said, that's America's Patriotic brand. He said, that is a brand. And he said, that's a brand. The song's the mission statement. American Rebel, America's Patriotic brand. And I'm not kidding you. I just met him hour and a half, 2 hours ago into the day. And by the time I left, he wrote a check to start the company. He called the guy that put the meeting together for us to meet, made him write the check. They wrote the check to Andy Ross on tour because there was no company. We started American Rebel. They funded it in the gate. We had out of the gate. We had no idea what our product line was even going to be. He just knew there was a brand there behind this song, this momentum, this music we had going. Our first product offering we still do make concealed carry clothing, backpacks, coats, jackets for people who want to safely and effectively carry a firearm in an area or a state where they're allowed to do so. We got into gun safes. We're one of the largest manufacturers of gun safes in the country. We also bought out our OEM manufacturer, and we now own their brand, Champion Safe. About 2 years ago, we got into, we saw an opportunity, if you will, in the beer market. There was a major light beer company out there that kind of left a hole in the market, if you remember that time a couple of years ago. And everybody was calling. They said, American Rebel, it's the perfect brand to get in and take advantage of that opportunity. So we introduced America's Patriotic, God-fearing, Constitution-loving, national anthem singing, stand your ground beer. By far, the biggest category our company's been in. We uplisted, if I didn't mention, to Nasdaq in February of 2022. So we have access to capital through the public market. By far the biggest industry we've been in. It's a $110 billion industry. There was a big hole left in the industry. We contracted with a company called BevSource, also known now as AlkSource. They work with very large alcohol and non-alcohol companies like Celsius and a lot of big brands. They're the guys that came in that said, hey, we're going to put you with the formulation people to get you the formulation that you want to bring to market. We handle taxations, licensing, all the legal aspects, helping you do your contract with Ball Can, helping you find your co-packer. They've licensed us with our co-packer called City Brewing. They're the largest co-packer in the country. They can do up to 240 million cases a year, and they can adapt to any type of hockey stick growth. If Walmart came in tomorrow and gave us an order for like a spring reset, we would have no problem getting there and meeting those demands. You know, everybody said when we got in this business that the hardest part would be getting distributors. In fact, it hasn't been really hard for us at all. We have the biggest distributors and largest distributors in the country. Most of our distributors, say 95% of them, are either Anheuser-Busch distributors or Miller-Coors distributors. The biggest in the state, the biggest in the counties. And the reason that's important, $110 billion industry, if your distributor only services, say in the state of Kansas, 4% of that market, well, your opportunity is 4% because that's who he's got relationships with. But if you're with the Anheuser-Busch distributor that services 98% of the restaurants, bars, liquor stores, events, then your opportunity is 98% because he's calling on 98% of the market. We've sponsored, been the co-sponsor, as we saw in the video, we sponsor Tony Stewart Racing. Tony Stewart's car, his drag car, Matt Hagan's car. We were co-sponsored of some of the races like Midwest Nationals, Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm out playing events. I played the Coca-Cola 600, bike rallies, half a dozen or a dozen NHRA races. I'm all over the country. We only play places now that serve our beer, so not only are they selling our beer and we're out selling all the other beers at the track combined, they give me the microphone and let me bring the party and the entertainment. So we got a lot of ways to win when we're playing these events. Played the 250th anniversary for the United States Army at Fort Campbell, which also carries our beer. Sponsor music events like Country Stampede, doing national ad campaigns, as you see there in the lower left corner, Fox Business, CNBC, a lot of events is helping us do a lot of this stuff. So anyway, we're real excited. Go ahead and move on. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. The orange states are where you saw in the video where we already have distribution. Again, I keep saying it, the largest distributors in the country are carrying us and representing us in those states. Those yellows, what you see there in the yellow, we just left the National
Beer Wholesalers
Wholesalers Convention in Las Vegas. In my opinion, we'll be making those yellow states red. We've had interest. We're in contract negotiations. We've had numerous meetings at the convention and since the convention. So I went ahead and put those yellow. They're not orange yet, but I believe they will be over the next 30 to 90 days. So as you can see, if we can get the yellow to turn orange, in addition to a couple states that have called in just since we got back, we'll have half the country in less than a year and a half. We'll have half the country covered with the largest distributors in the world. So to say that we were having hockey stick growth, I don't know what the definition of that is, but I would say that we are definitely having great hockey stick growth. This is how they display American Rebel. You go in, it's not, there are stores that just have a couple 12 packs or a couple cases, but a lot of the stores that are bringing us on, we're in Winn-Dixie's now, one of the largest grocery store chains in the country. In the Midwest and South. We're in Total Wine. We're in Hen House. We're in Price Chopper. We have one of the largest online sellers of alcohol. Actually, they're out of Connecticut. They can ship into 40 states.
40 states.
So I know we're not going to build our business from online sales because the freight costs too much for, you can't bring beer in every week, and pay the freight. But one thing that's interesting when you do an offering or you're trying to get people on board or you're trying to get investors, they always want to taste the beer. Well, in 48 states, if they want to bring the beer in or bring it in for an event till we get it going in their state, they can. I want to turn this over to Corey. I'll let you give his background. I always say Corey's in the business of running the business.
Yeah.
And I'm always so thankful because I know I wouldn't get to do a lot of the cool stuff that I get to do if somebody wasn't taking care of the business, back in the office, and that's Corey. So President Corey Lambert.
I think if you guys haven't met Andy before, you saw what I saw early on with that brand. And basically with him, Andy does have public company DNA. He was actually the original founder of Digital Ally as well. I've got a lot of public company DNA as well too. But again, I bought Smith & Wesson back in 2001, and that was 87% unaided brand awareness. And when I saw this particular brand, I thought it could be broader. And then when you couple that with Andy, who has the ability to go out there and connect with people authentically through his music, through the TV, through this particular brand, he was authentic to the brand and what we were doing, we can turn people that want to get involved with the brand into fans of the brand, into customers, and then hopefully into long-term shareholders. So I was really excited about that because I worked, even though I came out of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and I was Amber Alert and recycling and energy infrastructure, a bunch of different companies. And so, but when I saw Andy, he was different than all the other CEOs I've been around before. He wasn't a board member CEO. He wasn't an Excel CEO. He was the type of guy that you wanted to go out there and you knew you could build a business and a brand around. So we set out to do that from the beginning, from going public to buying Champion Safes. And again, every can out there, you're drinking, you're seeing our values out there. And that's what we connect with going forward. So really, this is a lifestyle brand. And we've modeled this after kind of the Red Bull model too. We're premium marketers, right? And this is a premium light lager, right? Yeah. So it's 110 calories. It's 4 ingredients, all sourced in the US, all natural. So this is a better for you beer in the mode of a Mick Ultra as well, like too. So we can hit those particular markets. We'll come back with the other sizes like later on. And if you look at the beer industry or if you look at the beverage industry, you can follow liquid death. So we're kind of on that path there, leveraging events, leveraging that stuff with the brand out there. They started out $5 million in sales. By year 5, they were like $200 million at a $1.4 billion valuation. We're way ahead of them with the distributor race. The distributor race was key. That's what Andy said. Everyone said you wouldn't be able to get those top tier distributors. And remember, I came out of alcohol or tobacco early, and then firearms, Smith & Wesson, and then I'm back in alcohol again, like right now. So I've been in this particular space. And with the companies that I've been involved with too, I've scaled 6 different companies from less than $1 million in revenue to over $250 million in revenue and over $1 billion in revenue. So I've been in this space before. I've known how to scale. I didn't know when I wrote him the check, I was going to eventually write myself a job like there. I was happy being the lead independent director. I was happy doing that. But when we looked at the beer opportunity, which was almost 2 years ago, we really started to ramp that up and go forward. I was the lead independent director. And I looked at where we were and I said, listen, I think we're going to have to, I'll bring in some guys from Smith & Wesson to run the state business. I understand the public company, that what we need to navigate here. We're a nano micro cap, we're going to fluctuate like up and down. We'll get the right sort of capital that we need till we get this capability and we grow. But there's a real opportunity in this space because there's a gap there. We're not taking market share from someone. There's market share out there that people are looking to. We're marketing to the right people. So when I give this guy a microphone Again, he turns fans into customers, customers into long-term shareholders. He's the right guy. I appreciate being with them on this particular journey, and we're just getting started.
Cheers, everybody.